you, Marjan. And now we have the pleasure of introducing Uriel Epshtein. Mr. Epshtein is the CEO of Renew Democracy Initiative. He has led programs supporting democracy and allocated 10 million to Ukraine frontline communities. Previously, he worked in strategy for DoorDash and Uber and founded an organization focusing on Middle Eastern issues. Please welcome Mr. Epshtein.
Thank you so much for having me here. I feel like there's a joke to be made about what a half Ukrainian, half Russian, American Jew is doing at an event commemorating an Iranian women's movement. But that having been said, the Renew Democracy Initiative, my organization, believes that these counter-authoritarian movements are all connected. And we believe that our mission essentially is to defend democracy here at home, combat authoritarianism abroad, but perhaps most importantly, highlight how these two things are connected and how you can't be successful at one without fighting for them both. And what our group does is we bring together an incredible group of cross-partisan leaders, but our most important collection of individuals are not just these kind of American thought leaders and political leaders, but international dissidents. You know, those who have risked their lives for some semblance of freedom that all too often Americans take for granted. This is our Front Lines of Freedom program, bringing together over 120 dissidents from nearly 40 oppressive countries. And we believe that these people can offer a uniquely positive message about how inspirational American democracy truly is. A message that can break through people's partisan shields. Because again, these folks are not connected to the American political system. They are outside of that system, and their experience is uniquely credible. Their personal example can serve as an inspiration. The Woman Life Freedom Movement is one such inspiration. When I see what the women of Iran are capable of, it's a call to action. And if I'm being honest, just between us, I often say that I wish that Russian men had half the bravery of Iranian women. But in all seriousness, the example of these women, what they're capable of achieving in Iran, does have the capacity to inspire people around the world, including in our very own country here. Not only those fighting authoritarians abroad, but also those fighting for democracy at home. And so this movement isn't only important to the future of Iran, but for the future of the entire world. Dictators work together. They're not in isolation. You cannot look at the Women Life Freedom movement as a purely Iranian movement. You have to look at it with the understanding that Iran is aligned with Russia, which is aligned with China and so forth, and that these dictators will all help one another. They're not going to let one of their own fall. And therefore it's incumbent upon us to also help one another, to recognize that borders, that national borders in a globalized world are not as relevant as they once were. And that freedom is not a particular idea. It's not a Western idea, but a global one. It's something that is just as relevant to the people of Iran as it is to the people of the free world. Therefore, a victory for the women of Iran is a victory for the people of Ukraine. It's a victory for the people of Zimbabwe, of China, of Venezuela, and ultimately it's actually a victory for the people of the United States and Europe. And that is the key message that we need to convey to Americans, that helping the women of Iran is not something we do out of the goodness of our hearts, but it's something we do out of an understanding of our self-interest, an understanding that dictators' repression will not stop at their own borders, but will extend to free people everywhere. Because freedom anywhere is a threat to dictatorship, to oppression, to authoritarianism everywhere. Thank you.